I'm Ryan Newman, and since I started with Indiana Donor Network and Driven to Save Lives, I found out that some people think that they can't be an organ donor. The truth is, anyone can sign up to be an organ donor.
Anyone?
Anyone?
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. Anyone can sign up to be an organ donor. So don't count yourself out because somebody's counting on you. Go to driventosavelives.org and sign up today.
But my heart's going to you, Ryan.
Love that shirt.
I hear nothing if you're talking.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. Another night of iRacing action. At least I hope I'm not doing this intro twice. My name is Chris Grant. Welcome back. It's the USFPRO Championships coming to you from Kevin Harvick's Kern Raceway out in Bakersfield, California. This place is absolutely fantastic little bull ring, only a half mile in length. Place where Derek Thorne holds the track record in an SRL Super Late Model. Qualifications are just getting out on to the racing surface, and we'll bring in our buddy here, Mr. Bizzle. And Patrick, I'm looking forward to this race. It seems like the drivers have had an absolute handful at this place in practice, and everything from weather to strength to total number of cars in the show is going to make a difference here tonight.
Yeah, I've been hearing some drivers struggling to get around this place. I've heard other drivers having an absolute blast around here. Wes, most notably, he was talking about how he couldn't get the car any looser. He did every trick he knew to loosen one of these things up, and he was still at a loss. And I was hearing from other guys, they can't get this thing into the corner without it snapping completely loose and spinning around. So definitely going to be a driver's track here tonight.
Yeah, and being this short of an oval, it is going to cause some problems for these drivers, as Nagisa Yoshikawa is currently on the pole with a lap time of 15.626 seconds. 15.560 for Nagisa Yoshikawa. Ted Burns going to be third quick. Let's pick up Sam Karasala in number 16. Some of these drivers tonight will have different numbers on the cars that we're used to seeing, and that's because ordinarily this car is a road course car, but on the ovals it will score and use the I rating as an oval as Everett Paddock moves up to P6. So Bizzle, potentially even some guys that we may not be familiar with that decide they want to run this car tonight.
Yeah, I'm seeing Jeffrey Stanton, who we are very familiar with Jeffrey Stanton. He's in the one car here tonight, and that is because he is an oval purist, loves the oval racing. We see him in the Silver Crowns on Monday, see him in the Sprint Cars on Tuesday, and he decided to join us for the other open-wheel car on the iRacing platform that runs on these ovals. A little bit foreign to him, though. These things have wings.
Yeah, actually, we've got Carl checking into the comments, giving us a podium prediction of Watson, Paddock, and Yoshi.
I hope so.
We got our boy James up here. What are you thinking as we get ready to roll into this thing?
I picked the worst time down my worst qualifying of the week. It's such a great feeling when you qualify 11th and you look at your practice time from the warm-up and see that it would have got pole had you done that exact lap.
Well, I guess this is one of those deals now where fighting from the middle of the pack, I mean, currently P11, there's going to be a lot of work to do around this place because it seems like line is kind of weather dependent, is setup dependent. There's a lot going into this, and if the car's not set up to run traffic, you could be in some trouble.
Yeah, my setup when I was in traffic earlier in the week was able to cut through everyone pretty good in similar conditions. So hopefully, personally, it'll be much the same. If it goes like how it did, I think we'll be okay.
All right, buddy. Well, we'll get you back to the driver's booth here, but good luck in this one with about a minute left in qualifying.
Thank you.
So there you go. There's James Watson. He's normally in the booth with us, but he's driving this week. It's an oval week, so James will be doing his kind of driver commentator in race thing. But so as not to be a total distraction, we only kind of bring him up when we're going to talk to him. But interesting prediction there out of the comments because Yoshikawa was very quick. Brian Labarge has been really, really quick on outright pace. It seems like there's a little bit of the racecraft work that we have left to see out of Brian. But if that clicks tonight, man alive, he could be a fun one to watch too.
Yeah, Brian Labarge probably going to be the guy to watch here tonight. My pick is on him. I don't want to curse him out early, so I'm not going to say he's going to win it. But he's definitely going to finish well here tonight, provided he keeps himself out of trouble. He won the 8 o'clock split, so he's my pick to win this one. I said it. I'm so sorry, Brian.
Yeah.
Never mind. He's no longer my pick.
Yeah, you just absolutely foobarred Brian Labarge, and we didn't even get to start the race yet. Congratulations there, Mr. Bizzle. Yeah, Brian, when he has a problem, we will be sure to let you know that it was Bizzle that caused that issue for you. Field is starting to get out on to the starting grid. Let's take a look. We'll pick up Mr. Brian Labarge. He's going to be up towards the front. In fact, he'll be on the front row for tonight's race. And let's take a look at your starting lineup. On the pole with a lap time of 15.560 seconds in the Team Watson Racing Setups National Racing Network number 9, it will be Nagisa Yoshikawa. Lining up to his outside, the NASA meatball, Brian Labarge in car number 11. NASA having a good day today, landing stuff on the moon. I'm not entirely sure that they're able to talk to it yet, though, but we'll look into that. West Shire in the Homestead Coffee Tales from Rubicon Schaefer Royal number 8, lining up inside of row number 2. Row 2, his outside will be the Downforce Racing number 7 to Ted Burns. Only 67,000 separating the top 4 cars here in qualifying. Rod Eskew in the Philadelphia Flyers number 10. That stunningly beautiful machine lining up inside of Canada's Carter Lundy in the Sim Racing Center number 3. Row number 4 will have Everett Paddock in the TNT Racing with Downforce Racing number 6, lining up alongside of Brian Molitor in the number 4. Fifth row tonight will have Sam Carasala in the Air Alaska Air, whichever it is, number 16, alongside of Mike Long in car number 15. James Watson in the National Racing Network Team Watson Racing Setup ZAS Designs number 2 inside of that 6th row, alongside of Josh Batista in a very Formula One Vodafone livery. That could be a problem. Lining up inside of row number 7, the law firm Alexander Wesley Hazelworth alongside of Stephen C. Thompson. Row number 8, Matthew Schneider and Jeffrey Stanton. Mike Costeva lining up alongside of Brian Gallardo on row number 9, and all alone on row number 10, the Hy-Vee at number 13 of Corey Kobe. 19 cars on the entry list for tonight's 90-lap feature event. Field will come into turns 3 and 4. Let's see if we can get a couple of laps clean and green. Off at turn number 4. Green flag goes in the air. We are underway here at Kern. Great jump for Nagisa Yoshikawa off to turn number 1, but my goodness, the Hornets are a buzz. And oh baby, Ted Burns almost making contact with Brian Labarge in the middle of 1 and 2.
Already a hornet's nest here at the front of the field.
Oh, that's so tight.
Just into the wall.
Wow.
Phrasing.
Yeah. Oh, we've got a yellow caution flag for the first time out here tonight. We'll take a look and see if we can tell who that may have been. Possibly Brian Gallardo. Take a look at it on the replay here and head towards the back of the pack. Keep your eye on that white number 17 machine. Oh, one car starts to slide just in front. Oh, a couple of cars going for a slide through turns 1 and 2. Looks like that was Corey Kobe and Alexander Wesley Hazelworth. Big surprise there out of Hazelworth on cold tires. Take a look at it again, just a little bit further back here, that 14 machine of Hazelworth. Oh, yeah, car
it seems to me like he got away scot-free, though. Not a nick on that car.
Yeah, almost one of those deals where the car's on cold tires and there's only so much you're going to do to save it in that instance. But now the dynamic of the race changes a little bit because you had a double file start to this race. Everybody was kind of bunched up. Now it's going to be single file restarts from here on out. Basically, get everybody up by the outside wall, and you kind of have to try to time it if you're everybody behind Brian Labarge.
Yeah, Brian Labarge has an opportunity to do a little bit of a Colton Herta start and run away from these guys. I'm not saying slam on the brakes and check up the field, but I am saying, I don't know, surprise them, take them by storm, and get the turn 1 before they even hit the start-finish line. That would be my goal.
Yeah, and this is one of those places where you do have to be a little bit careful because the pace car will make the left-hand turn, but you really can't go until the pace car is kind of on pit lane. It has to be off the racing surface, or iRacing will give you the penalty as the leader. That means that you can't just go like a bat out of hell as soon as that you see. Ordinarily, you would say to see the pace car make that turn on the pit lane, you can just go at any time after that until the starter throws the green flag. Here, you have to be a little bit careful with how you restart this race.
Yeah, even one thing I found that works really well too is not waiting till the green comes out, but just holding speed, wait, and then when you decide to punch it, you punch it. And a lot of times you can catch some guys off guard.
Yeah, so Brian Labarge going to really hold the field down ever so slightly here. Gets on the loud pedal through turn number 4. We go back to green flag racing on lap number 7. And Labarge going to get the early jump. James Watson making a nice move at the start there, getting around Sam Carasala. Oh, just up ahead, Rod Eskew, Everett Paddock battling. Carter Lundy, Nagisi Oshikawa side by side as well for third.
Carter Lundy, he is so good on the road courses and so good on the ovals as well. His fastest lap for him is wild.
Yeah, Lundy setting a new fastest lap of the race at a 15:8:47. Ryan Molitor, Wes Shire side by side. One of the things we talked about in the pre-race with these guys is the fact that the inside lane, counterintuitively to real-world racers, the inside lane is the tire-saving lane here. That's not, ordinarily you think you run a little bit higher, you're putting less strain on the tire, you're going to save some rubber. That's not the way it works in iRacing.
No, and it's been an issue for like probably the past year. The oval refresh did seem to help a little bit, but it's still low line for tire saving, high line for speed, which is very track dependent. Here is a low line fast track, and the low line is also the line you save tires on.
Yeah, and that's where you end up in a situation where you kind of have to force the issue a little bit to make a pass. And the laps are short. We're only talking 15.6s at this point for basically everybody through the top 10. Oh, Carter Lundy. Go ahead.
Makes it so difficult here in these open wheel cars. If this were a stock car race, you can get right on someone's bumper, push them up the racetrack into the corner, and get underneath them that way. Not an option here in the open wheelers. You kind of have to fake someone out, try and get a better run off the corner, and dive underneath someone going in.
And we have seen the bump and run rarely be successful, but there are a couple of drivers in this race that have used it to good effect. One of those is Wes Shire. He leads the second pack This is positions 5 through 11, all pretty much nose to tail, running about a second and a half back of your top 4.
Everyone seems to be single file the entire way through. Looks like Yoshikawa going for the dive on Lundy, but not able to get it done there.
Let's go on board here with Carter Lundy. You see Ted Burns just up ahead. Everybody kind of settled in right now as Brian Labarge has the lead and the fastest lap of the race at a 15.572. You swing right back around, though, and there's Nagisa Yoshikawa. That second pack is not all that far behind either. But, man alive, it's just so... You can see how tough it is. You basically have one lane around this place, and you're kind of have to force the issue if you're Yoshikawa, or wait for the guy in front of you to make a mistake.
Yeah, you're going to have to fill his mirrors up, get him nervous, and the problem with Carter Lundy is you're not really going to get him very nervous.
Well, no, that's because I don't think he uses the mirrors a whole lot. He's focused this way, looking at Ted Burns out the front. He very much, Carter seems like the guy who's going to run the relative and only glance at the mirror if you start to hear the spotter call. Oh, as we've got caution on the racetrack for the second time here tonight.
Looks like Josh Batista involved. Same with Jeffrey Stanton.
Yeah, let's take a look here and see what happened. Jeffrey Stanton carrying car number 1 tonight, maybe making an iRating donation here. Oh, Batista just loops it and huge contact for Stanton. Oh, and Mike Long gets involved in that one as well.
That is a shame. 2 of the best oval drivers on the service. Both of them coming from the sprint car and Silver Crown world, take the track to these little tiny open wheelers and unfortunately take each other out.
Yeah, that was odd. Batista losing it almost about the midpoint of the corner. And then you're trying to get the car cleared out off the racetrack and at least going to attempt the effort to drive it back to pit lane, but unfortunately for these guys, that's kind of a no bueno deal right there.
It's a shame we won't get to hear Batista's intro. I was hoping to see him on the podium here tonight, but I guess we'll just have to wait till Monday.
Well, let's see. Hold on a second here.
You got an elephant. I got space. Send me smoke signal. You got weed?
Oh my God. Jesus, mute yourself.
That was incredible. that was about as much smoke in there as my dang rack.
Yeah, I was going to say, Big Rip Bizzle over here. Josh, what happened there in the middle of 1 and 2?
I did not expect it to just snap out of nowhere and just, looped it. And poor Jeffrey had nowhere to go, so I just ran out of town. I stepped on Dick, as they call it.
Yeah, that happens once in a while. But running a car you're not all that familiar with, tough break for you tonight here. But hopefully we're talking to you on Monday and Tuesday here for week number 12.
Oh, absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. See what happens.
All right, there you go. There's Josh Batista. That might get us thrown off of YouTube. Holy crap. That wasn't weed, by the way, YouTube, and whatever NSA agent is now listening to the show.
It was not, but oh, man.
So, if you're able to collect yourself here, Bizzle,
I think so.
I am interested in what Josh Batista had to say as we get ready to go back to Green Flag Racing, because if somebody with that much experience is going to just lose a car like that in the middle of the corner, there's nothing stopping that from happening to some of these other guys later in the race.
I am going to disagree with that a little bit. Batista comes from the world of cars without wings, big meaty V8s, tons of torque, and you get him a little bit sideways, you can counter steer a little bit, roll off the power, roll back onto it, and the car will straighten itself out. You can effectively drift those cars. These things, it's not like that at all. You come off the power while you're counter steered, and it spins around to the right. You stay on the power, it continues spinning to the left. There's very little you can do to save these cars.
How about
It just comes with experience of driving these things.
How about James Watson on an absolute tear right now? Takes Everett Paddock on the outside of turns 1 and 2 last lap. Now he's going to look inside of West Shire. Has to tuck back up in line off the corner. But Watson is carrying the number 2 tonight. Jeffrey Stanton had the 1 as the highest I-rated driver in the race. On the oval side of things, Watson is the number 2. From an I rating and a points perspective, Watson really needs a good finish here. 5th or 6th may not cut it in a 28.64 SOF.
It might not. That might be a little low. He's got to get into the top 3 at least. Going to be a great points day for Brian Labarge, though. Not only points, but I rating, too.
Take a look at the positions gained here. Right behind this battle between Hazelworth and Eskew is the number 13 of Corey Kobe. Kobe has made up 9 positions since the start of the race. A great drive for Corey Kobe to this point. Watson up 5, Hazelworth up 5, Schneider and Lundy rounding out your most positions gained list. We also talked briefly about the weather conditions here, and this is interesting because it is significantly cooler than what these guys saw in practice. It was very, very warm during the practice session. Now a track temperature of only 75 degrees.
Yeah, now with the track temperature being this much lower, if any of these guys are running any of those super loose setups, this is exactly the sweet spot they want to be. The track tightens up when it cools down. A lot of the other guys running kind of the tighter, closer to baseline set, they are going to start having a tough time around here.
Well, and you wonder if there isn't a little bit of tire saving going on, because this is about the point of the race where we had talked to some of the drivers in the pre-race who said, if we get a caution about between lap 30 and lap 40 or so, it may be a smart move to come in and take tires.
Yeah, and I wouldn't think that's a bad call at all. As long as you can stay in the lead lap and enough cars pit to where you're not going to have to fight through the entire field, that might be the way to go.
And if you're one of those guys towards the back of the pack, it is a significant advantage to have, 35, 40 lap pressure tires than the rest of the field. You could use those to slice your way forward a little bit. So following this battle up towards the front, Carter Lundy, Nagisa Yoshikawa. This is the tightest fight on the racetrack right now, outside of Stephen C. Thompson, battling with Matthew Schneider. This is the fight for the 13th position. A good battle there, and quite frankly, they are going to be potential targets for the race leaders. They're about half a racetrack behind right now. As Yoshikawa gets around Carter Lundy, a little bit of a bobble there in turn 1 that time for Lundy. Looks like he may have just missed the quarter entry. But Lundy slides out wide, Yoshikawa back up onto the podium. As the field starts to settle in, you wonder, when do you think about making the move? Because I would imagine if you're doing some of that conservation, if you're Ted Burns up here running at P2, if you don't think it's set up there, that you just don't have the raw pace in the car, that means he's doing some saving, and then you kind of have to put some thought into when do you want to go on the attack. A poorly timed yellow all of a sudden could just blow up all the work you put into it, and you lose all that tire that you saved.
Yeah, especially if everyone else pits. Sure, you saved a whole bunch of tires, and maybe your tires are only worn down to 80%. You stay out, you're in the lead, but you got 10 cars behind you that are on fresh rubber, and they're going to wipe the floor with you.
Seeing Nagisa Yoshikawa start to close the gap on Ted Burns. And this is the tight fight on the racetrack right now. occurring about a third of a second back of race leader Brian Labarge, but it's only 2/10 between Burns and Yoshikawa. Only other fight we have that's around that 2/10 of a second mark, it's going to be back here. Everett Paddock and Alexander Wesley Hazelworth will call it 4 car lengths at the entry to turn number 3 that time. And if you're one of these guys like Wes Shire or James Watson, I would imagine at this point you're kind of hoping for that caution flag. Maybe not now because you're in the middle of the iffy pit window, but certainly as you get to about lap 55 or lap 60, you're going to need that caution flag to get caught up to the front.
Yeah, once you've broken way too far from the pack, even at these short tracks, there's nothing you can do about it. Unless your name is Brian Labarge, Carter Lundy, one of those guys, you're just not catching that gap back up.
Well, the gap is closing ever so slightly here at the front. Still sitting at about a third of a second between Burns and Lundy. Gap management potentially going on here. But Nagisa Yoshikawa was to within a car length or so last time by the start-finish line. And interesting lines here, Bizzle. We're seeing Yoshikawa a little bit later entry, really arcs it down into the corner. Ted Burns running a little bit more, I guess, traditional oval line where you're kind of just running the line from top to bottom to top.
Yeah, I haven't run Kern enough to know what kind of line I like around here. I would imagine I would take just that traditional line. The way these corners are, they're very shallow. There's no reason to I'm in the corner like you would at Martinsville or anything.
It's interesting that you say it that way, where you kind of have to, Martinsville, I think of a track as you kind of have to muscle the car through the corner, whether you're running a Cup car, an MX-5, or one of these little open wheelers. You kind of have to force the car to get through the corner a little bit. Here, it seems like you really can roll it a little bit. Even now, some of these drivers are not using the brakes at all. They're just getting out of the throttle, let the car set, and then easing right back into the loud pedal.
Yeah, it's a very routine, repetitive track. I would say this is more like Bristol in the way you hit the throttle at a certain point, you hit the brake at a certain point, you turn at a certain point, where Martinsville's kind of short track where you really have no reference to anything. You kind of just slam on the brakes, set it in the corner, and use the car in front of you to help you slow down if you went too fast. Or if you're Ross Chastain, you keep it floored and grab another gear. It all works the same.
That is exactly right. So Carter Lundy is making up some ground here on Yoshikawa as well. Now that the leaders are going to start to hit lap traffic, this is the kind of short track where you see that phenomenon of the leader may have a tough time getting through the lap traffic, but the guys in second make up a ton of ground and find an easy way through because the leaders already opened the door for you.
Yeah, lap traffic doesn't have to get out of the leader's way. It's nice to when you come towards the end of the race, but we're still in the middle portion. You can block the leader, you can do everything you can to try and stay in the lead lap. But for second place guy, you have no incentive to fight him. You've already lost the lap, so you just let him by.
Well, and if you're not accustomed to running these cars with the wings on them like we're seeing these guys do here tonight, you don't necessarily realize that the leader might be 10 car lengths back, but you're actually holding them up more than you think because you're taking some of the air off the front wings and changing the handling characteristics of the car by losing all that downforce.
Yeah, where the second and third place guys, they've been dealing with dirty air the entire race. Brian Labarge, he's been leading this thing pretty much the whole way through. He hasn't had to deal with dirty air a whole ton, so every time he gets behind a lap car, it's like driving a whole new car until you get by.
Yeah, and it's not like you have any of the in-car adjustments, the weight jacker or anything like that you see in the Indy cars as you progress up the iRacing ladder. You got what you got in these cars. Maybe a little bit of play with the brake bias that you can do to help set the car, but again, you're barely touching the brakes if you're using them at all.
Yeah, you're mostly just using the throttle here with these wings. The only reason you're really hitting the brakes is if you have the brake bias dialed way back to kind of compensate for the aero push.
Well, it is 27 laps remaining here as the field is working. Lap number 64. The next car to go one lap down will be the 12, Stephen C. Thompson. He's running about 10 seconds back to the leader, so there's still 5 seconds or so away from catching that car. And then it's another 4 seconds up the road until you get to Sam Carasala. I don't know that they're going to get caught up to 12th. I'll tell you what, though, if they do, it's only another 2 seconds to James Watson in 6th. It is a blistering pace that the leaders are setting right now. Couple of nice battles starting to shape up here. Brian Molitor and Rod Eskew. Molitor just coming around the 10 of Eskew. Just back behind Sam Carasala, getting around Corey Kobe. All the work that Corey Kobe did, he's given up a couple of spots since the last restart, back to the 12th position. And Brian Labarge, of note, is opening up the gap here on Ted Burns as he works a very nice lap number 69. The gap up from a third of a second to right around a half second over second place. Molitor and Eskew having the look on Everett Paddock, and there you see the kind of hang up there. In fact, Eskew almost backing way off into the corner. Oh, what a move. Sets up the line into turn 3. Has to back out of it, but what a fantastic setup that time by Rod Eskew. And that's kind of what you have to do here. Back the corner up a little bit to give yourself the run off and try to carry more speed than the guy you want to pass.
Yeah, try and get side by side with him down the straightaway so he gets that spotter call and doesn't run over you entering the corner.
Yeah, we saw a little bit of that happening in the 8 o'clock race, and we were watching some footage back of that. It is so easy to have a situation where you don't get the spotter call that says car inside until it's almost too late. Because if you run that normal arcing corner, that car, you're going to steer down on the car that's trying to pass you inside.
Yeah, and you're already committed to the line you're taking. You're already going into the apex, so not much you can do about it.
So Rod Eskew getting around Everett Paddock. Going to put Eskew up into the 9th position. The battles at the front have settled significantly. It's a half second between Labarge and Burns. Oh, one car big into the outside wall. Oh, and Brian Molitor went around. Brian Molitor spun around backwards. Looked like Alexander Wesley Hazelworth also got a piece there. Let's take a look here at the NRN replay with 15 to go. Molitor right up underneath Hazelworth, exiting turn number 4. Oh, and just absolutely drills the left rear of Hazelworth.
That's exactly the incident we were just describing.
Yeah, let's take a look at it again here. We'll do it from the chopper, the NRN drone, and take a look at it here. That was earlier in the corner, though. That looked like Molitor just wasn't ready for Hazelworth to slow down.
Yeah, I don't know. It just looked like two drivers going for the same piece of real estate.
But now, down to 14 to go. I can't imagine we're going to see many cars on pit road. It looks like Sam Carasala is there, and he has an extended stop, up over 20 seconds, so some damage repair work on the 16 of Sam Carasala. Tough break there for Sam, but it looks like it would put Matthew Schneider, Matt Schneider coming around Carasala now. And with the time spent under caution, Carasala could fall back as far as the 14th position. But now with, I guess, probably about, 11 or so laps to go when we go back to green flag racing, this could get spicy because everybody that was kind of gapped back a little bit, they're now going to be right up on top of each other.
Yeah, I have a feeling we're going to see another caution here in this one. There's only going to be about 10 laps to go. You're going to have all of the drivers right one on top of each other, and little opportunities pop up on these restarts where you can just go for it.
And if I remember correctly, there is not a green-white checkered in the USF Pro Championship. So if that caution comes with 5 or fewer laps to go, very, very likely that we will not get back to green flag racing.
Yeah, that's a great point. Basically, this is going to be a shootout, and next flag's going to call it. Unless it's the white, then the flag following will call it.
Well, let us know in the comments. Who's your pick? Can Brian Labarge hold on? He's led 79 laps thus far. Taking the lead on lap number 1 from Ted Burns. Both Burns and Labarge getting around the Gisi Yoshikawa on that first lap. And they will come back to green with just 10 laps to go. Pace car is off. When does Brian Labarge decide to go? He'll carry the field into turn number 4. In fact, all the way practically to the exit of turn 4. Green flag goes back in the air. Labarge going to have a 5-car length lead to turn number 1. Not much going here. Right at the very sharp end of the field. Wes Shire all over the back of Carter Lundy. Wes, a multi-time champion of the TNT Shock Series in these PM18 cars. You would expect him to perform well here, and that's exactly what we're seeing out of car number 8 here tonight. Shire looking inside of Lundy with 6.5 circuits remaining. Lundy kind of throws the little dummy block down to the inside, grabs the lane right back. You got to watch doing that here, though, Bizzle, because you're going to could end up giving up more pace than you really are going to gain in what the driver behind you lifts.
Yeah, but for Wes Shire, it's not really a huge issue. He's not in this race racing for points or anything. He's just out here just to try and finish as high as he possibly can.
Ted Burns had closed down to about a car length back of Brian Labarge, but the gap starts to open up ever so slightly. Nagisa Yoshikawa closed in. 4 laps remaining, and Burns may have to fight off Yoshikawa. Oh, and the caution's out. Yellow flag is out. And unless we get the green-white checkered, which I don't think we will, that will put an end to this race under caution. Not seeing anything coming up here in the incident viewer. But with just 2 laps to go, that will be the end of this race. Here at Kevin Harvick's Kern Raceway, not enough time to go back to green. And I'll tell you what, Brian Labarge is going to be one excited dude here. He talked about a redemption drive after the last TNT Shock race. This is just continuing that trend of positivity, picking up the win in the 8 o'clock split, which kind of most of these drivers use as a pregame show for this race. And now he's going to do it again here in the SOF split for USF Pro.
See, I told you he was my pick for tonight. I told you he was going to win it.
You did. I was really looking forward to saying it was not his fault, it was yours. But in this case, maybe the curse works in reverse sometimes too. as they will come off of turn number 4 and under the twin checkers. And Brian Labarge will pick up the win here at Kevin Harvick's Kern Raceway. Oh, Carter Lundy just bends it on purpose right before the line. That's beautiful.
I would have been so happy if Wes got by him there.
That would
Not
have
because I want
made
bad
me
things to
smile.
happen to Carter, but
No, just the
Wait
comedy.
till he crossed the line.
That's exactly it. The comedy of bid it on purpose. There you go. Race winner Brian Labarge. He'll come down, park it on the front straightaway. May even turn some donuts here. Kevin Harvick's yard of golden horseshoes. That's a great idea. We should send that to him. Paint a pile of golden horseshoes across the start-finish line. That'd be awesome. With that, Brian Labarge picking up the race win. Let's take a look at your race results. This one coming under caution, so the gaps are semi-irrelevant. Labarge getting the win over Ted Burns and Nagisa Yoshikawa for the podium. 4th and 5th positions tonight belong to Carter Lundy and Wes Shire. 6 through 10, Rod Eskew, Corey Kobe, James Watson, Everett Paddock, and Stephen C. Thompson. Second page of the leaderboard will have Matthew Schneider, the first car, 1 lap down, followed by Brian Gallardo, Mike Costeva, Sam Carasal, and Brian Molitor back through the 15th position. 16th, Alexander Wesley Hazelworth. 17th, Mike Long. Josh Batista and Jeffrey Stanton will round out tonight's 19-car field. Time for our Victory Lane interviews, and let's bring in, I would imagine, a very excited race winner tonight, Mr. Brian Labarge. Brian, congratulations. A really dominant win tonight, leading all 90 laps. You told us a couple of weeks ago you were really jacked up about a podium. You've got to be just losing it over there, picking up an SOF win.
I apologize to my family if I just woke everybody up.
You did the yelling thing, huh?
Yeah. I couldn't help it. I could not help it. Yeah, that was, yes, that felt fantastic. Absolutely speechless.
I have to say, I was sort of looking forward to talking to you after a wreck tonight because Bizzle picked you as his winner. And I was going to say, it wasn't your fault. It was Bizzle's fault. But instead, America's Worst Crew Chief sounds like the smartest man in the room for a couple of minutes. A fantastic drive. The car setup was good, and it seemed like you were really able to gap manage over Ted as well, where it would get to about 3/10 and be back to about 5, but he never really got close enough to challenge.
Yeah, and it's not really easy to pass here as well. So I figured that as long as I can just, maintain pace and not make sure there's not, like a 1 or 2/10 a lap pace advantage on his behalf, then I figured I'd be pretty good. Just don't make mistakes, hit your marks, get your good drives through the corners, and just trust the car is going to do what the car should. So, yeah. It's never easy when you have Ted Burns in your rearview mirror for 90 laps and Carter behind him. But yeah, that was just a lot of just looking at the mirrors, making sure he's there, back off, just so happy.
I love it. I love to hear the excitement out of a first-time SOF broadcast winner. Brian, congratulations.
Yes.
A big day for NASA, a big day for you. NASA landed on the moon, but you're over it seems like. Congratulations on it, and do all those sponsor plugs and shout-outs before we let you go.
All right. Thank you to you for the broadcast, the Races for Racing, TWR for the setups, and the good positive vibes. I can't say enough about everybody else and being supportive and just, keeping your head up, and everything else is just friends, family, hi, hello, yay. Yeah.
All right, buddy. Well, congratulations. Go apologize to the significant others and everybody else in the house for waking them up. But Brian Labarge, your race winner. That's fantastic. I love the fun interviews like that. Let's talk to our second place finisher tonight now, Mr. Ted Burns. And I'll tell you what, Ted, it seemed like the car was good, but just almost just a tick off. Did you feel like it was corner entry, corner exit? Where was the car just not spot on perfect? Because it was really good, just not good enough.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's kind of how it goes. Because Brian, he was flying up there, and I was just trying to stay with him and hold on. And maybe I could have used like a little bit more turn in coming into the corner. I felt like I was just pushing it a little bit, and so I didn't want to burn off the right front. So I was trying to back everything up going into the corner. So maybe I need just a little bit more turn in the car to maybe fall a little bit closer, but it's so tough to pass here. So I don't know if I would have had anything for Brian even if I could have caught him.
Well, I'll tell you what, now at this point in the season, I think we can pretty safely say that you will be another, however many times this is, champion of the USF Pro Series on the iRacing platform with only the race at Okayama coming next week. A lot of work goes into this. It's a lot of teamwork and prep that goes into these kind of championship runs for you.
Yeah, for sure. And I got to thank Downforce Racing for that because, even some of the weeks where, I can't be working on the setup, some of the other guys are in there, working on it, at least trying different things. We're figuring out what works, what doesn't. And, just having other guys to bounce data off of, bounce setup ideas, it's a huge team effort. And, just trying to be consistent every week is the big thing. And, just making the most of it. So I knew I didn't have a whole lot to lose out here this week. So, I came out and surprised myself in qualifying, being up there P4, and just sent it on the start on cold tires. I know I'm always good on cold tires, and picked up a couple spots and just tried to keep it up there. And so happy to bring it home up in second. This will unfortunately be my last broadcast of the season. I have to fly down to Sebring for work next week, so I'll miss the Okayama broadcast. But it's been a pleasure racing with you guys all season.
Well, we appreciate you coming and hanging out with us, and congratulations on the well-earned championship. And I don't know that you're shedding too many tears about missing the Okayama short course next week. That one has the potential to be an absolute mess. But, Ted, congratulations on the podium and the championship. And before we let you go, get all those sponsor plugs and shout-outs in here.
Yep, really appreciate the comments. But yeah, got to thank Downforce Racing again. I got to thank you guys for putting on an awesome broadcast. I love coming out racing each week. And for everyone coming out racing the series, props, hats off to Brian Molitor, that is, for the season-long battle. Carter as well. It was awesome racing those guys week in, week out, and just trying to find that edge to get in front of them. So I think I'll miss a couple more weeks next season, so it'll be a little bit tougher to try and defend the championship. So maybe they can make up some ground on those weeks. But I look forward to battling those guys again and seeing you guys again next season.
All right, Ted. Well, thank you much. We appreciate you coming to hang out with us here. And, man alive, good show out of Teddy B tonight. Also, a good show out of this guy, Mr. Nagisa Yoshikawa, our third-place finisher. And talk us through the race a little bit, because you were really hounding Ted and just not able to pressure him into a mistake.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really, really good race between the three of us. I talked to Ted just now, and we were both pushing like 100%. We were barely staying with Brian, so props to him. But yeah, I felt like I was running pretty loose setup, and I was a little bit tentative, maybe too much at the beginning in the clean air, and they all got around me. And then once we got that long green flag run, like 20 laps in or something, once I got around Carter, I was flying, and I was like, I'm way faster than these guys. Let's see what I can do. Got to them. But I was a little bit worried about battling Ted too much and letting Brian get away. And then after a little bit, tires started to fall off a little bit. And by the time the second to last caution came out, I was, just hanging on.
It's
had a little bit pace after that. But
it's interesting that you say that, because one of the things that we had talked about was that the setup for the guys who like the loose setup, this was going to be kind of a sweet spot, I think was the term Bizzle used weather-wise. Is that what you were thinking going into this race, and did you have to make any tweaks pre-race to the setup?
No, I mean, to be honest, the setup was, on rails. It was super good. When I tested and everything, it was a little bit loose in clean air, but I figured it should be, perfect in the traffic, and it was. I just think might have overdrove a little bit and ended up burning off the tires. But I didn't get a chance to run much practice this week in terms of any other races, so I didn't really know what to expect. But it just kind of came to me and then went away a little bit.
Well, very nice drive to hold on to the third place here tonight. Congratulations on it. And before we let you go, do all those sponsor plugs and shout-outs that you'd like to get in.
Yeah, for sure. Always Team Watson Racing and Team Watson Racing setups. Like I said, setup was on rails, and Brian was on the stable version of the setup. I was using the loose one, and they're both amazing. So hit them up, and don't normally do this, but Brian joined the team not too long ago, and it was really awesome to see him finally get his first win. So shout out to him, and as always, you guys for putting on a great broadcast, and all other drivers for good racing.
All right, brother. Well, thank you much. We appreciate you coming to hang out with us up here in the booth for a couple of minutes. And, man, I'll tell you what, Bizzles, we'll go back to the live look here. This was a really fun race to watch because you were kind of doing multiple things at one time. You're keeping an eye on the leaders. We had several good battles throughout the race, throughout the pack, I should say. And you kind of got the cautions. Outside of that last one, they almost kind of came at the right time, and it kind of bunched everybody back together to give you a shot at to be able to move up in the field.
Yeah, that was good old short track racing. Very similar to what we saw in the sprint car race, where very, very aggressive, very tight, difficult to pass. I mean, I don't know that I would bring these cars back here, but I wouldn't be opposed to it either. I think this track is just a hair on the small side for these things, at least for the official series.
You know what? It's an interesting point that you make there. The TNT Shock Series that runs a lot of ovals, those guys will... I mean, they basically run almost identical setups to each other that really get dialed in over the course of the week leading in with the race prep and knowing what the weather conditions will be and all. For the officials, it's a little bit different ball of wax that you have to deal with more variables that aren't necessarily easy to play with.
Yeah, not only that, the TNT Shock Series is almost entirely ovals, save for, I think, one road course we run every season. So you have oval focus guys who run these cars almost exclusively on ovals. In officials, it's a mostly road course series. You have all the road course guys, and this oval, I don't want to say it is too tough for them, but just not in their realm of expertise.
Yeah, that's like you said, it's an interesting discussion to have over whether this is one of those places you really want to push to come back to. And quite frankly, the community will have that discussion as they get ready for season number 2 and season 3 schedule development will actually start happening about as soon as the season 2 schedule drops. iRacing wants to get the schedules handled a little bit further in advance. So will be fun to have those discussions with the community managers and the whole community over the next few weeks. But we're looking forward to week number 12 coming up here for iRacing, and next week it will be the Silver Crowns paying a visit to Pocono Raceway on Monday night. That race will air 8:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Follow it up on Tuesday night with the sprints closing out their season, the pavement sprints at Indianapolis Raceway Park. That is going to be a fantastic show. I can't wait for that one. On Thursday next week, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, it will be the USFPRO Championships heading off to the Okayama Short Course. We talk about this place being tiny. That is a tiny, tiny racetrack for these cars.
Yeah, Okayama is that short course is one of my favorite tracks to run in fendered vehicles, specifically the street stocks. Love running the street stocks there. It's a very physical track to race at. You can, almost like Martinsville, muscle the car all the way around the corners, use other cars, 8 tires better than 4. Can't really do that in the open wheeler, so that's going to be a very interesting race for us to watch.
Yes, it's going to be a show, that is for sure. But with that, time for Bizzle and I to get the heck on out of here. Fantastic show tonight, as always. Patrick, thank you very much, sir. And for everybody else here at the National Racing Network that gets these shows on the air, my name is Chris Graham. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with us, and we will talk to you all soon. We'll see you Monday night, everybody.